Here's your ultimate guide to exploring Cinque Terre.
Julep, pop, 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 julep, pop, 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 julep, pop, 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 pop.
Hi everyone, I am Noreen from Where to Now, and today we're going to be exploring Cinque Terre for 3 days, so stay tuned.
But where exactly is Cinque Terre located? Well, it's right here, in between Genoa and Florence, right on the edge overlooking the Ligurian Sea. The 5 villages of Cinque Terre are Riomaggiore, Manarola, Corniglia, Vernazza, and Monterosso. It is important to note that Cinque Terre has its own train system connecting the villages. The trains go in 2 directions, La Spezia and Levanto, making stops in each of the 5 villages. So, if you're going from Corniglia to Monterosso, you would have to grab a train in Corniglia heading towards Levanto. Once you're there, it's pretty simple to follow. Remember not to look for the name of the village itself, but for the direction you're heading. You can also hike from village to village, but we'll discuss that later. Cinque Terre means 5 lands. These 5 small medieval villages are unique, and we have a favorite thing to do in each one of them that we'll share with you today so you can plan ahead and make the most of your time there. We traveled from Florence to La Spezia, which took 2 hours and 20 minutes by train. Once in La Spezia, we took the Cinque Terre train line to Riomaggiore. This is the train station in Riomaggiore, right over here. Just a 5-minute walk into town. If you're limited in time, exploring Cinque Terre by train is a great option. A train connects La Spezia to Levanto every 20 minutes or so, and the ride between each village is under 5 minutes, so it's very accessible. Now, I want to take a minute to talk about Trainline. This video is not sponsored, but using the Trainline app made our travels through Italy so effortless that I have to share this app with you guys. Using the app is very simple. What I love about this app is that all your journeys are saved in one place. You can easily view your tickets, you'll get a barcode inside the app to be scanned inside the train, and the app also lets you know if your train is on time or running with delays. We found this so helpful because we knew like if we had to rush, we were there on time all the time anyways, but it's nice to know if your train is running late or not. Another cool thing is that you can save multiple tickets in the same account for different passengers. So if you're traveling in a group, you can stay organized. You can view all your journeys in one place for the entire trip for everyone. And you can also add more trips on the go if you get an impromptu idea of a new place to visit. Still, I recommend booking your tickets beforehand. You'll save a lot of money that way. This app does not work to book tickets to the villages of Cinque Terre. That's a separate pass that we'll discuss later. We used Trainline to get from Florence to La Spezia and to travel the rest of Italy. I would just go ahead and buy the train tickets if you already know, I'm going to Cinque Terre on this day at this time, because it just takes away more pressure on your planning. As I mentioned, Cinque Terre has its own train system called the Cinque Terre Express, and you need to buy a train card to take it. You can purchase your card once you arrive at La Spezia. Once you're ready to use your Cinque Terre card, you'll have to sign and validate it. We purchased a 3-day card that included buses, trains, and trails. You do have to pay to hike the trails. Someone will check your ticket at each checkpoint, and they use the money as a donation to the park to keep it clean and safe for people to walk on the trails. After all, Cinque Terre is a national park. Your pass also includes access to the public restrooms along Cinque Terre. Without the card, you would have to pay to use the restrooms, which is very common in Europe. The only way you can get away with not paying for the restroom is at a restaurant if you're dining there. When purchasing a Cinque Terre card, here are your options. You can purchase the Cinque Terre trekking card that gives you access to all the footpaths, and at the time of the recording of this video, the price is €750 during low season for a one-day pass, or €15 if you're traveling during the high season. You can also purchase the Cinque Terre Treno MS card, which gives you access to the hiking trails and unlimited travel on the Cinque Terre Express trains on the Levanto, Cinque Terre, and La Spezia line. The card costs €1950 to €3250 for adults for a one-day card, €34 to €59 for a two-day card, and €46.50 to €78.50 for a three-day card. The first village we're exploring and also where we are staying is Riomaggiore. When you first arrive in Riomaggiore, you have to cross through a narrow underground tunnel to get to the central part of the village. The village is very steep for walking, so I recommend comfortable hiking sandals that give you enough support. If you're not staying overnight and need a place to store your luggage, there is a little luggage storing shop a few feet away from the train station. You'll see the signs right outside the train station that will guide you to the shop. It's very close by. Now, which village in Cinque Terre is best? We personally loved Riomaggiore. It's so photogenic and the best town for epic sunsets with a colorful yet dramatic backdrop. Every photo we took in Riomaggiore was just epic looking and so cool. We just loved being there. It was our favorite by far. Riomaggiore is also the best town for a day trip. So if your time is limited and you only have a few hours in Cinque Terre, I recommend spending it in Riomaggiore unless you want to swim on the beach. Other villages have a more beachy vibe if that's your thing. I personally don't recommend doing a day trip. Of course, if that's the only time you have and you really want to see it, then go ahead, do it. But it's in a day, you don't really get to experience Cinque Terre. You can do 2 days if you're really pressed on time, but I recommend a minimum of 4 days if you really want to go to all the villages and explore, and also you don't want to be with all the tourists at the same time. And when you do a day trip, that's what ends up happening. You're stuck with everybody, and then everybody wants to do the same thing, and it's crowded, and the experience is just not the same. When we arrived in Cinque Terre, the first thing we did was check into our local apartment we rented, which I will link below. I'll show you also how to get there and give you a little tour since the apartment is more secluded, but it's easy to find once you know where you're heading. I love staying at local homes when we travel. The entire experience feels more authentic, and we actually really loved the apartment we stayed at. This over here is the apartment we rented out. You can take a little peek, and we actually loved waking up each morning and having coffee on this little balcony. The apartment is decently sized and can fit a group of 5. This here is the bathroom area. Then we have the bedroom, which is small, but the living room makes up for that. You also have extra chargers on each side of the bed, which is always nice when traveling with multiple electronics that need immediate charging. Then we have the living room area, which is huge and also includes a dining table. Then we have the kitchen area with a washing machine, which is a big plus if you need to wash some clothes while you're traveling. The kitchen is also fully equipped, so if you want to pick up a few things to cook instead of eating out, you can. And a little balcony for some al fresco coffee or meals. This apartment is super cute and a hidden gem in Riomaggiore. If you decide to wash some clothes and need to dry them, you can do so like the locals and hang them to dry outside. You will be walking a lot in Cinque Terre, so bring a pair of comfortable, sturdy, and waterproof shoes. If you've been watching my other travel guides, you know I'm always wearing these. And I swear by them. I'll link them in the description box, and I'll link some other favorite hiking sandals for visiting Cinque Terre. We went to Old School Cocktails and Food for a quick lunch. That's actually the name of the restaurant. It's called Old School Cocktails and Food. And it was nice. It was in a great location. It also has a very nice view. I recommend sitting outside if it's not raining and trying some of the local homemade pesto. The region of Cinque Terre is the birthplace of pesto, and the pesto is so fresh and delicious here. After lunch, we visited the little church near our apartment and found our way to the church of San Giovanni Battista of Riomaggiore. Which features Gothic arches, a rose window, and a pipe organ. The landscape of Cinque Terre is photogenic from any viewpoint. Walking around the village, you'll find many opportunities to take epic-looking pictures. If you want to find the same viewpoint from where I took this picture, it's right across the restaurant where we had lunch. Old School Food and Cocktails. A great way to start exploring the old town of Riomaggiore in Cinque Terre is by finding the main street of Colombo and walking from there. Via Colombo is lined with shops and restaurants. Every time we visit a town or city by the water in Italy, we look for some fish cones. We became obsessed with those in Venice and wanted to try the ones from Cinque Terre. In addition to our fish cones, we also found some arancinis, which are Italian rice balls that are usually stuffed with breadcrumbs and deep fried. The menu at Tutti Fritti had a great selection and everything was made freshly daily. Whenever we find a calamari or fish and chips shop, we always have to stop and take a cone to go. It's one of our favorite street foods in Italy. Il Pescato Cucinato is another great shop for fish cones in Riomaggiore. The pathway leading to the sea in Cinque Terre is a great place to sit around and take your surroundings in. You can also take a boat tour or rent a kayak. From here, they offer sunset group tours where you can watch the sunset from the sea while enjoying some aperitifs and a glass of Prosecco. From here, you can continue hiking down or enjoy the views. We even made a little friend. Swimming in the harbor is not allowed in Riomaggiore, although sometimes you'll see some people swimming here. I do have to warn you though that the water is very cold. The best time to visit Cinque Terre for swimming is the late summer month of September, and for a less crowded experience, the first 2 weeks of October. By the end of October, the water starts to get cold again, but it's still warm enough from the summer months. If you want to dine with panoramic views, our favorite bar in Riomaggiore is A Pie de Ma. A Pie de Ma sits atop a cliff and is the perfect place to unwind overlooking the sea. It does get a bit windy up there, so come prepared. Views are worth it though. This is another excellent spot to watch the sunset. You can even do wine tasting and have some focaccia and aged ham. If you're in the mood for pizza, our favorite spot in all of Cinque Terre was Capri's. I kid you not, we ate there several times during our stay in Cinque Terre. Right next to this pizzeria is also where you can store your luggage. Pizzas here are so delicious and they're affordable, and what's really cool is that they're named after some of the villages and towns nearby. We gave the Capri's pizza a try, which is named after the restaurant, and it has tomatoes, mozzarella, locally sourced sausage, mushrooms, and gorgonzola cheese. The pizza was delicious. You should give it a try if you visit. This is the perfect spot if you're in a hurry and you're like, oh my god, I'm doing a day trip, I don't have time to sit down and eat, but I want to eat because I'm starving. You can eat your pizza there or take it to go, then head back to the boardwalk by the sea to eat it there. You'll find many other visitors eating their pizza and taking photos of the pizza itself, or of them eating the pizza with Riomaggiore as the backdrop. So that is a very popular Instagrammable spot for you to be eating pizza in Italy and having this epic dramatic backdrop. Riomaggiore is known for its colorful stone houses, which seem to be stacked one on top of the other, and for its harbor, which is filled with traditional fishing boats. Cinque Terre is considered a pricey destination, but with early planning and visiting off-season, you can save some money. And in all honesty, being New Yorkers, we didn't find the prices to be terrible. The only thing we found expensive was the trekking train pass, but we felt better about it when we learned that the money was actually being donated to preserve the park. We were like, it's fine. We're visiting and everything, it was super clean. The trail was safe to use, so the money is going to a good cause. Besides the harbor, Riomaggiore also has a beach you can visit, but I prefer one of the other villages for swimming. Oh yeah, the rocks are intense here, so bring your water shoes. You'll take this path right here from the harbor to reach the beach area. So the beach area is tucked like behind the harbor. But my favorite thing to do in Riomaggiore was just stare at the view. Places close relatively early in this area, and there's very little nightlife, except for a bar we found, which I'll share with you later. But the vibe in Cinque Terre in general is more laid back and easygoing. It's not really a party town. After some gelato and dancing, because we did find a bar with nightlife, it was time to say goodbye to day one. We're starting day 2 with some wine tasting. When you walk through Riomaggiore, you can see the vertical slopes of vines, which is really cool. It was my first time visiting a vineyard so elevated and close to the sea. The wine locally produced in Cinque Terre carries the natural elements of wind, sun, salt, and water. The vines are not grown on a wall, but laying down at a maximum height of 1 meter. Most of the vines are vines of white grapes like Bosco, Alvarola, and Vermentino. Cinque Terre is known for its dry white table wine as well as its sweet dessert wines, but you can also find red wine. If you want to do a wine tasting while visiting, one of my favorite shops is Game, which also has a fantastic assortment of local beers. If you're staying for a few days, you can also pick up some items to cook dinner at this shop. You can take several wine tasting and vineyard tours in Riomaggiore that are really great. I'll link my favorite ones in the description box below for those of you who are exploring the area for a couple of days. After wine tasting, we took the train to our second village, Manarola. Manarola also has many colorful buildings, as you can see here. However, I found the ones in Riomaggiore to be the most epic. Perhaps it was the location, close to the sea with a dramatic sunset, and a more chill vibe. Nevertheless, I do love Manarola, but for different reasons. For me, it was the food. We found the best restaurants in all of Cinque Terre in this village. Swimming is allowed in Manarola. There is no beach, but there's a breakwater cliff just below the town, and you can sunbathe here or swim at the marina. It's right when you enter the town, so if you decide to hike from Riomaggiore to Manarola, you can cool off by jumping into the sea. After taking a few photos, we made our way up to Nasun Dorma for lunch. This is the view you'll be dining to. And oh yeah, renting a boat for the day is also an option. This spot is trendy for lunch, and you cannot make a reservation beforehand. To get your name on the list here, you have to download an app and add your name to it. What's cool about that is that you don't have to wait in line. Instead, they'll text you when your table is ready. We love Nasun Dorma for the views, but if you're looking for the best seafood in Cinque Terre, I recommend making a reservation at Tratoria Dal. This place has good views as well as fantastic food. Manarola is also our village of choice for taking a cooking class. With a full belly, we decided to walk around Manarola. And take the train to Corniglia. We are right now in the middle of Cinque Terre in the village that sits right in the center. Fun fact, Corniglia is the only village in Cinque Terre that is not next to the sea. You have to climb 383 steps to get into town, so yeah, bring your walking shoes, my friends. The climb is actually not that bad. The steps are well paved. Corniglia feels very eclectic, and it's my village of choice for souvenir shopping if you want to take a few things back home, as prices are better here. Our favorite bar for panoramic views in Corniglia is Bar La Terza Terra. It's right here, but we don't want to sit inside. For epic views, continue walking all the way straight to the end. Another favorite bar for bites and drinks in Corniglia is Terra Rosa. Terra Rosa is conveniently located right before the start point of the hiking trail from Corniglia to Vernazza. And we're about to take that hike. But before we go, we are stopping here for some aperitivos and some local beer. What I love about Terra Rosa is that despite being petite and modest, it carries a fantastic selection of local wines and beers. I was in search of some liquid courage before starting my hike. some chiquetis made me nostalgic for my time in Venice. We loved this shop. Everything was delicious at affordable prices. Then it was time to head to Vernazza via trail. In Cinque Terre, you can hike from village to village. By foot, visiting all 5 villages would take about 6 hours. The hike we're doing from Corniglia to Vernazza took us approximately 2 hours, and flip-flops are not allowed on the trail. Now, if you're wondering which hike is best for you, here's a breakdown. The easiest hike is from Riomaggiore to Manarola, which only takes about 30 minutes, and it's nicknamed Lover's Lane because it feels more like a romantic stroll rather than a hike. The trail is paved and flat, so it's easy to complete. For an easy hike that's twice as long, you can take the trail from Manarola to Corniglia. This trail takes about an hour to complete. For a moderate hike, you can take the path from Corniglia to Vernazza, which takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to complete. That's the hike we're taking right now. You can take the Vernazza to Monterosso trail for a more challenging hike. What makes this hike challenging is the steep steps leading up and down along the way. This is considered the most scenic hike out of all. Before visiting, I recommend checking their website for updated information on which trails are open, as they sometimes close them for general maintenance. I'll add the link to the description box with the hiking trail info.
Taking a break from the hike.
Oh yeah, sometimes they'll have resting spots along the way where you can grab a little bite or drink. We loved the hike and welcomed the challenge. We want to come back and hike all the 5 villages. If you decide to do that though, I recommend spending at least 4 days in Cinque Terre so that you can have a couple of rest days, as the hike can be tiring, especially with the heat of the sun. You don't need hiking boots. Hiking sandals did just fine for me. Sometimes you'll hike on a long open trail like this, so bring a hat and sunscreen. You'll find signs along the way guiding you. It doesn't get any more photogenic than this, you guys. Moments like this make me fall in love with Cinque Terre, one of my favorite places to visit in Italy. We've finally made it to Vernazza. Vernazza felt big and busy, almost like one of those medieval villages in Tuscany, but with a more open-air concept. Many shops here offer premium linen wear, and seaside restaurants invite you to spend the day. The vibe here is more chill and laid back. Vernazza has a beach, although not my favorite beach in Cinque Terre. I prefer the one in Monterosso, the next village we'll visit. I did love the churches here though. Churches in Cinque Terre are very distinct and fascinating. This church was built on ruins in a rock, and its Gothic interiors make it even more special.
Gonna fly away, go a million miles, and take a holiday where I can hide a while, and where the crowds are gone. I'll hear the sirens song, saying, here, a life like this, you can do no wrong.
That's the church right there, right next to the beach.
A laugh like someone told me I'd never see, where the sun shines like sugar, there's no sting from the honeybee. Gonna fly away, buddy, I'll be gone. Gonna find a laugh like this where I belong.
Things to do in Vernazza include walking around and exploring the old town. Via Roma is a great starting point. We decided to walk outside the beach area for lunch and head further into town. We had some bites and beers at Il Pirata della Cinque Terre, a great cafe for a quick bite. And took a stroll beyond the beach area. This location felt more local than touristy. Then we went back to the beach and took the train to our last village, Monterosso. Monterosso is my second favorite village in Cinque Terre, and if you want beach vibes, you should stay here. The beach in Monterosso looks like an actual beach. You can rent a beach chair and lounge all day. The sand is finer compared to the other beaches. You'll still need to wear shoes, but the sand is much better. If you want to enjoy the beach for free without renting a chair, you can bring your own towel, sunbathe here, or swim. If you decide to rent a chair, the prices vary by row, so the closer you are to the water, the pricier the chair will be. To give you an idea, renting a chair can cost you between 50 to 20 euros. This includes an umbrella, 2 chairs, and the use of the changing cabins. You can also rent a chair for a full day or a half day. If you're looking for the free beach area, that will be next to the train station. Monterosso is the most expensive out of all 5 villages, and it's also the largest. You'll find beach resorts in this village, some with a hefty resort fee. Nevertheless, this is the best beach area in Cinque Terre. Some popular things to do in Monterosso are having a beach day, kayaking, or renting a boat and taking a sunset cruise passing by all the other villages. It's really neat seeing the 5 villages of Cinque Terre both on land and by sea. If you're looking for a more budget-friendly way to sail through Cinque Terre, I recommend taking the local ferry from Monterosso to Riomaggiore. That way you get to experience seeing Cinque Terre from a different point of view. After enjoying the waves at the sea, we decided to explore the old town of Monterosso and hike to the statue of Saint Francis. This statue is so cool. It overlooks the ocean in a protective and majestic way. Being so high up also gave us a bird's eye view of Monterosso. Right along the pathway, you'll find the serene convent of Cappuccini Francesco, one of my favorite churches in Monterosso. I love the faded grayish stripes against the yellow walls, framed by all the trees nearby. I think that's what draws me to the churches in Cinque Terre. They don't seem pretentious. They have character and charm. Monterosso has two sides, the Old Town and the New Town, which is divided by a tunnel. The Old Town has narrow cobbled streets, cute alleyways, and lots of alfresco restaurants, while the New Town is the more local side and boasts modern architecture. My favorite things to do in Monterosso are hitting the beach and visiting the churches. They are unique to this area of Italy. A good lunch spot to check out in Monterosso is La Osteria. After a full beach day, it was time to return to Riomaggiore for our last night in Cinque Terre. After one last fish cone, we made our way to Osteria La Torpedine for dinner. If you're traveling during the busy season, I highly recommend making reservations a few months ahead of time at restaurants you might want to check out, as Cinque Terre is a very popular destination among tourists and locals alike. Cinque Terre is a magical place, and the hype is real. It is one of our favorite places to visit in Italy, and we'll continue visiting for years to come. The views are epic, and you get a little bit of everything from all 5 villages. Cinque Terre is best for couples who are looking for a romantic getaway. Cinque Terre is for foodies who love seafood and learning about local wine. Cinque Terre is for adventure seekers who want to trek into nature. Cinque Terre is for beach bums who want to relax by the beach or sail away in the open sea. Cinque Terre is for everyone. With that being said, keep in mind that walking through all the villages can be challenging at times due to their elevation. But if you're up for a little workout, I would add Cinque Terre to your bucket list. It's a magical place to visit. I often get asked, especially by those who are limited in time, which is better, the Amalfi Coast or Cinque Terre. Having been to both, I would 100% go with Cinque Terre if you have to choose. Both locations can be touristy, but in Cinque Terre you'll find both Italian locals vacationing and foreigners, and that says a lot about a destination. On the Amalfi Coast, we only saw tourists, and the vibe was just different overall. The Amalfi Coast feels touristy, while Cinque Terre feels more like a must-see hidden gem. After viewing an epic sunset one last time, we grabbed a bottle of local Cinque Terre red wine and the Riomaggiore pizza from Crepi's, which is open till late, by the way, for those of you who are hungry after hours. And we enjoyed an alfresco night in the comfort of our cute little apartment.
It's only €9. The best pizza in town. This is the Riomaggiore pizza.
The following day, we took the train from Riomaggiore to La Spezia. If you're looking for budget accommodations, staying in La Spezia instead of Cinque Terre is a great option. With your Cinque Terre train card, you can travel as often as you like at no additional cost. The train ride only takes about 7 minutes from La Spezia to Riomaggiore. La Spezia is big and feels more like a city than a small town. We had an hour to kill before our train to Rome, so we decided to have breakfast at Ciao Baby. I do have to say though that that was the most American breakfast we had had in our entire trip through Italy, but it was delicious and it hit the spot. I was kind of craving avocado toast during that portion of the trip. The train ride from La Spezia to Rome is about 4 hours, so I recommend splurging and getting a first-class train seat. It's only a few dollars more if you book your tickets ahead of time, and it's more comfortable as you will have more space.
Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Until next time.